For 50 years, Donny Osmond had learned how to say hello. To crowds, to cameras, to the bright lights that had followed him since childhood. But nothing in his long, glittering career ever prepared him for the word he now struggled to even whisper: goodbye. It came to him on a quiet morning in a Las Vegas hotel suite, far from the roar of the stage, far from the fans who still waited on sidewalks just to catch a glimpse of their forever teen idol. He stared at a sheet of paper trembling in his hands, the doctor's voice still lingering in his ears like an echo he couldn't escape. Donny, I'm sorry. It's serious. And for the first time in his life, the man who sang through every storm could not find a song strong enough to silence the fear rising inside him. The day had begun like any other show day. Warm-up vocal routines, quick jokes with the backstage crew, and a moment of silent gratitude before stepping into the light. Donny had done it so many times that it was practically muscle memory. Even at this stage of life, the stage remained his refuge, the one place where everything made sense. But in the past few months, something had been different. It started as a faint tremor in his right hand, barely noticeable, the kind of thing most people would shrug off. But then came the stiffness, the fatigue that no amount of rest could erase, and the strange unsteadiness that crept into his movements, subtle but persistent. Donny ignored it. Performers were trained to push through pain. In his mind, the show had to go on. Until this morning. He had kept the appointment hidden from everyone, even from Debbie, his wife of more than 40 decades. He didn't want to worry her. He didn't want to worry anyone. He simply wanted answers. What he got was something else entirely. An empty room full of memories. After leaving the doctor's office, Donny walked through the hotel hallway in a daze. Photographs of his career lined the walls. Him at 13, grinning with that impossibly perfect teenage smile. Him holding a microphone at the peak of his fame. Him standing beside his sister Marie as they reinvented their careers together. Each picture felt like someone else's life. Bright, untouchable, endless. He stepped into his suite, shut the door quietly, and sat on the edge of the bed. The lights of the strip glittered through the window, flickering like distant stars. Usually the view energized him. Now, all he felt was the weight of the doctor's words settling over him like a cold blanket. The diagnosis wasn't final, not until more tests came back. But the early signs pointed to something he had feared ever since watching close friends and fellow entertainers battle it themselves. A degenerative neurological disorder. Possibly progressive. Possibly life-altering. Possibly career-ending. Donny exhaled shakily, letting the truth press down on him. After decades of dancing, singing, hosting, touring, and dazzling audiences across the world, his body had chosen now, to whisper that it might be done. He didn't know if it was fair. He didn't know if fairness even mattered anymore.
The call he couldn't make. Debbie deserved to know. His sons deserved to know. His fans, who'd supported him through every high and low, deserved to know. But how do you tell millions of people that the music might be fading? How do you tell the world that the smiling face they grew up with is now struggling with something he can't control? Donny picked up his phone, stared at Debbie's contact photo, a candid shot of her laughing on a family vacation, and felt his chest tighten. She would hear the fear in his voice. She always did. She would ask questions he wasn't ready to answer. So he turned the phone screen off. Not today. He needed time. He needed a plan. He needed to figure out how to face his own reflection before facing anyone else. The stage waits for no one. That evening, he still had a performance. Even with the diagnosis hanging over him, Donny went through the motions. He pressed his suit, practiced his harmonies, and walked backstage as if nothing had changed. The stage manager approached him with a smile. "Sound check in 10, Donny." He nodded, but his mind drifted. How many more times would he get to hear those words? He touched the edge of the curtain, feeling the warmth of the light spilling through. The hum of the audience seeped in,
a sound he had grown addicted to since childhood. That familiar buzz comforted him, even now. As he stepped out to begin warm-ups, Debbie's voice echoed in his memory. You know, you never stop. One day it's gonna catch up. Maybe this was that day. A quiet moment before the storm. Soundcheck went in and out smoothly, though Donny noticed the tremor again when he adjusted the microphone stand. Little things, but little things add up. Back in his dressing room, he stared at himself in the mirror. The same brown eyes, the same youthful grin that somehow never faded with age. The same man fans insisted looked decades younger than his birthday suggested. But beneath that familiar reflection was a truth no one else could see. He was scared. Genuinely, deeply, quietly scared. He whispered to himself, "You can get through this. You always have." But this time felt different. This time wasn't about critics, ratings, or reinvention. This time, the enemy wasn't out there. It was inside him, silent and patient. He pressed both palms against the counter, took a steadying breath, and straightened. A knock came on the door.
The lights burst to life first, brilliant white, warm gold, then a shifting mosaic of colors sweeping across the stage. Donny stepped into them as he had thousands of times before, his silhouette greeted by a wave of applause that shook the theater walls. It felt familiar, comforting, safe. And yet, tonight, something inside him whispered that this moment was different. Not because of the songs, not because of the crowd, but because he had no idea how many more nights like this he would get. The mask of a performer. His first note floated across the venue with practiced ease, but inside a war was raging. Each step he took was measured, each gesture carefully controlled. He smiled, he waved, he sang, but beneath the polished performance was a quiet panic. When he danced during a high-energy number, he felt the tremor again, small, fleeting, but unmistakable. His foot hesitated on a turn, his hand tightened around the microphone, his breath hitched in a way the audience didn't notice, but he did. The band played brightly behind him. His backup dancers kept their timing flawlessly. The audience swayed and clapped, lost in nostalgia. But Donny sensed every tiny betrayal of his muscles, every subtle warning shot from his nerves. Still, he kept singing, because he didn't know how to stop. A song that hit too close to home. Midway through the show, he began one of the songs fans always begged for, a soft, sentimental ballad about resilience and hope. He'd sung it so many times he could do it half asleep. But tonight, the lyrics struck differently. They felt heavier, sharper, almost prophetic. The first line escaped him like a sigh. The second trembled with too much emotion. By the time he reached the chorus, his voice cracked, just a little, but he heard it instantly. And the audience felt it too. They didn't know why he seemed more emotional than usual, but they leaned in, sensing something vulnerable, something real, something aching beneath the surface. Donny swallowed hard and kept going, because the music was the one constant in his life that never abandoned him.
The backstage reality. After the first act ended, Donny hurried off stage, heart pounding, not from exertion, but from fear. The dressing room door clicked shut behind him. He collapsed onto the sofa, burying his face in his hands. He wasn't sure whether he was losing control or simply losing time. A soft knock interrupted his thoughts. "Donny, everything okay?" It was Mark, his stage manager, one of the few people who had worked with him long enough to notice even the smallest changes. Donny forced a smile when the door opened. "Yeah, just catching my breath." Mark studied him for a moment. "You sure? You looked a little off during the ballad." "Too much emotion," Donny said lightly. "I'm getting sentimental in my old age." Mark chuckled and left, but the worry in his eyes lingered. Donny leaned back and exhaled shakily. He had always been good at hiding things,
But tonight, he felt transparent, as if everyone could see the cracks forming. A memory that wouldn't let go. He thought back to his early days, touring with his brothers, long rehearsals, longer nights, endless airports. He had been unstoppable then, tireless, unbreakable. His mother used to say, "You've got a motor inside you, Donny. You don't ever slow down." He used to laugh at that. He used to believe it. But now the motor was sputtering. He looked at his hands again, the right one trembling ever so slightly. It was enough to make him clench his fist until the shaking subsided. This diagnosis, whatever it turned out to be, wasn't just a health issue. It was a sentence, a possible end to the life he knew best. The second act. Despite the dread pooling in his stomach, Donny took the stage again. The second act was livelier, filled with upbeat songs designed to get people on their feet. He moved with determination, refusing to let the uncertainty win. But halfway through a fast routine, his leg buckled. Barely. Just enough for him to grab a nearby railing and turn the stumble into a playful bit of choreography. The crowd cheered, thinking it was intentional. Only he knew it wasn't. His pulse thundered in his ears. As he finished the song, every joint felt like it belonged to someone else, someone older, someone weaker. But he didn't stop.